The Westcott ProLite mods are an excellent addition to any portrait photographer's arsenal. It can help give your images the variation needed to stand out. But Westcott softboxes aren't necessarily cheap, and so that begs the question, can you use another brand softboxes and hopefully save a little bit of money? Or are you forced to spend it just to get Westcott softboxes in order to add these ProLite mods to your toolkit? Well, we're going to find out. Let's get into it. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Matthew Henry, portrait and sports photographer who does a hint of videography occasionally, and I'm back with another video. I haven't made a video in a little while. This is typically my slow period, as most of my clientele are high school students, right? Whether I'm shooting high school sports, or I'm doing sports portraits, or senior photos for graduation. Graduation in my area is done. It's been done since last month. So I'm in my slow period and I didn't really know what I wanted to make a video on. However, came up with an idea and I started looking around and I haven't seen too many people do a video specifically on this topic, and that's what brings me here today. So I recently purchased the Westcott ProLite mods, and I did so because I aim to keep adding different dimensions or different elements to my sports portraits in particular. I really don't want all of my images looking the same. And unfortunately, if I just stick to the same lighting setup with the same effects, the smoke and the colored gels, there's not going to be a ton of differences other than rearranging lights occasionally to try to do something different. So when I shoot with the intention of trying to incorporate something new that I didn't do previously, whether it's adding a different filter for a different style effect, adding different type of lights. For instance, the rim light that I'm using behind me is a Nanlite Pavo tube. Using those as my backlight instead of using my traditional strobe lights. Like I said, just trying to find different things to give my images a different look, right? Trying different techniques like shutter drag to give a different style of photo. So things like that. One thing that I have not tried up until this point is using the Westcott ProLite mods to either recreate or simulate stadium lighting. This adds a really dramatic flair to images that I have not done yet. I haven't done so for a reason, but this will work well with field sports, which I'm going to be doing a lot of on the next coming school year. Football, soccer, baseball, softball, things where I don't necessarily have access to use stadium lights. Let's say we're inside one of the training facilities, which is indoors. I won't be able to use or recreate stadium lights. So having these ProLite mods will help give me another aspect that I can add to my toolkit to help my images, look a lot different and not always the same. Now, the reason I have not used the ProLite mods yet is because I don't know if you've seen this, but the Westcott softboxes that go along with the ProLite mods, they come with a pretty hefty price tag. And that brings me to the point of this video. I recently purchased a set of ProLite mods from Westcott, and I purchased two 3x4s. So as you can see, one and the second. And at the time I started filming this, I hadn't done a shoot with it, but I have done a shoot, so you are going to see photos that are now mixed into this video that kind of seem a little out of order because I already shot stuff. Is what it is. I just did a shoot this past Wednesday that used these ProLite mods for a football athlete for a high school that's in my local area. And originally when I started making this video, I had only had one softbox for one of these to go on. It was not made by Westcott. It's actually a budget-friendly version that found on Amazon by the manufacturer called Low, and it is the Easy Lock 31x47-inch softbox. So this is this company's equivalent to a 3x4 softbox, for which will fit the ProLite mods that I just bought. Now, when I started making this video, I hadn't planned to do a football themed shoot so soon, but one came out of nowhere. And so I rushed and bought Westcott's Rapid Box Switch 3x4 to fit the ProLite mods. Like I said, I've already mixed in a couple of photos at the beginning portions of this video, but this will be my spiel on why I went and bought it and why I had two different versions, right? The Glow budget version from Amazon and the one made by Westcott to fit the Westcott ProLite mods. These come with a pretty hefty price tag. Like I said, if you haven't already looked at it, I'm going to pull up my laptop, and I'm actually going to go through Westcott's website so you can see just how pricey these things are if you were to buy them together. So give me 1 second as I pull up my screen here. All right, so right now I'm on the Westcott product page, and you can see when you go to light modifiers, you're going to go over to rapid box switch. When you buy the ProLite mods, they do not come with a softbox, so you have to purchase a softbox separately. And I'm going to show you the price of the actual ProLite mods too, so when you total everything up, you can see how pricey it's going to get. But if you scroll down Westcott's website, when you're on the rapid switch page, you're going to see a bunch of softboxes. And the one that I actually purchased was the 3x4. By itself, it's $260. So I bought one of those because I was working with a ton of money at the time. I knew I needed to get this for this shoot, so I went ahead and bought it. It paid for itself in the end. But if you go to the light modifiers and you go under ProLite mods, keep in mind the softbox for the 3x4 is $260. And as I scroll down, you can see the prices of some of the other softboxes. But the ProLite mods themselves, if you buy a single one, it's $120. If you buy the 2-pack, which I did, it's $250. Now, I bought the 2-pack knowing that I was going to be doing a lot of football in the fall. So I bought them ahead of time, and I just had them ready to go. But I wasn't ready to start spending on soft boxes. So $250 for a 2-pack, $260 for the single 3x4. And if I'd have did 2 of them, that'd have been another $260. So that's about $800, $900 total when you factor in, tax and shipping and all that. Almost $1,000 spent on a single setup, and that's not including lights, which I already have plenty of. But you're starting to see just how some of that is starting to add up. Now, what I ended up doing when I started making this video was I bought a budget 3x4 equivalent softbox from Amazon from the company Glow. They have a number of different sizes that can be used. And essentially, I wanted to see how well I could use it and if I would really need to spend that additional $260 on a Westcott softbox if this one didn't work out. So, as you're going to see, I have behind the scenes footage of the shoot I just did this past week with a football athlete using both 3x4 softboxes. And we're going to go over the pros and cons and the things that I loved about it and then some issues that I ran into that you might encounter if you're using another company softbox that's not Westcott, but you plan on using the ProLite mod. So we're going to go further into that. All right. So now at this point we're set up. We were actually in a gym, not a facility that's affiliated with the school. This was a private gym in the area that this athlete's mom was a member of, worked with the owner to allow us to use it. They have a little turf strip. So ultimately it worked out for what we were trying to do. But as you can see here in the background, I have both of the modifiers set up. The one on the left is the Westcott brand softbox, and the one on the right is the budget version from Glow that I got on Amazon. And as you can see, they're approximately the same size. Ran this with a 3-light setup. I have my FJ800 as my key light, and then I have 2 FJ400, the original versions, as the rim light. And then my wife is my assistant most times than not, so she was running my smoke machine. And this is primarily the look we had going for this entire shoot. Now, as we go through, I realized that the sizing of the both modifiers is a little bit off, so it's really hard to get them level to have the lights lined up perfectly. The Westcott softbox is larger in both width and height than the Glow version by several inches. The 3x4 by Westcott is a true 3x4, so it is 36 inches long in length and then 48 inches in height. And the Glow version is only 31 inches by 47 inches. So little discrepancy. And then also I didn't truly take as much time as I needed to level them out. So a couple of shots, you can definitely see there's a difference in how the lights were arranged, but you learn as you go. But this was the first time I used it in a paid situation, so that is something I need to keep in mind the next time I try to use it. Now, the other thing that I didn't notice as we were doing this is that, and this is actually one of the cons, because of the different sizes of the modifier, when you get the ProLite mods put in and set up, you're going to notice, or something you should pay attention to, are gaps in the Velcro. It was really hard for me to see that there on location during the shoot, and it's something that I didn't notice until after I was back in my house and I was editing the images. The Westcott brand did not have as many gaps simply because it's sized appropriately. However, one of the cons with using the glow modifier is that because it's not sized properly, when you arrange the ProLite mods and you start pushing the Velcro up to get it set in place, you're going to notice that there are portions of it that won't sit properly. And those portions that don't sit properly allow light to leak through. Now, looking at my LCD when I was shooting on my Canon R5 Mark II, didn't jump out at me right away, but when I got back and started editing and had it up on my monitor behind me, which is a lot larger, I definitely saw those light leaks. Now, the Westcott version did have light leaks, but in the ProLite mods, depending on which size you get, they have additional attachments that will help combat some of that light leaks. The 3x4 specifically have corner pieces, and that was actually one of the big things that I saw with the Westcott version, is that in one of the corners there was a big gap where light was coming through. Now, editing software has come a long way, so I was able to fix that as I was editing. It took me longer to edit my photos because of that, but it's something that I now know going forward that I need to make sure I take the time to check for before I just start blasting through my session. Each version of the Westcott ProLite mods has some sort of adaptable piece or extra material that you can use depending on which size softbox you go. If you don't go with Westcott, they have additional pieces that will allow you to fill in those gaps and prevent those light leaks. But all that aside, had I have taken the time to make sure that the glow version of the softbox had the Velcro as smooth as possible, I wouldn't have had as many light leaks. And that's actually the one that gave me the most problems with editing, because it's not sized properly. It's within a similar enough size for it to work, but then you have to take those extra steps to make sure that you're, setting it right and making sure you're manipulating the material enough to get everything covered so there's as minimal light leak as possible. But you learn as you go. The thing that Westcott does include with the 3x4 and any other softbox you get are a way to increase the tension on the inside of the softbox. So even with the Westcott version, when I put it up, I noticed that the material was so loose, especially towards the middle of the softbox, that the circles weren't coming out as perfect circles. And you can even see that in some of the images that I took. Not all of the circles are a perfectly round circle. So these tension rods, it allows you to input or tension at different points of the softbox to kind of help straighten out that material and take out any slack. Easy to screw in, and as you get it in place, you just unscrew it to get the tension to push the modifier out and hopefully straighten out the material, because when you take it out of the packaging, you'll see it's pretty much folded in order to get it in. So you're going to have wrinkles in there and the material is going to set a certain way. But this is just one thing that Westcott provides you with to help get things how you want it to look and get everything as even and as close to perfect as possible. These are the corner pieces that I was talking about. So it's just a little flap of Velcro material that you can use to input or place into the center of whatever softbox you may be using that you are getting light leaks in the corner. So this is a nice touch. The long strip boxes also are sized differently, so they don't even cover Westcott's 1x3 or 1x4 perfectly. There's this big fold of material that's used to cover whatever that blank spot is missing. And like I said, depending on what softbox you go with, you could also use that as well. Hopefully I haven't made this video too long. I tried to keep it somewhat short. I'll do better the next time. Links to everything that I mentioned in this video will be below. Not only ProLite mod attachments, but both of the versions of the softboxes that I use, both Glow and Westcott. And links to everything else that I use to make this video will also be below. If you got something out of this, hopefully this was insightful for you. Hopefully this made that buying decision a little bit easier for you. If you enjoyed this, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.